One of the strongest storms ever recorded, Super Typhoon Haiyan swept across the Philippines, causing devastation in coastal areas. Around 10% of the population in the Philippines, some 10 million people, are estimated to have been affected by the storm, and 670,000 have been displaced from their homes.
The Korean government will work closely with the Philippine government and provide full support for rescue efforts. The Philippines is not alone.
Foreign Affairs correspondent Hwang Sung-hee reported on the Korean government's efforts to help with the recovery in the Philippines and its decision to send $5 million in humanitarian aid.
Arirang News.
There is a growing need for cooperation by the international community in times of unexpected catastrophe. On November 12th, the Seoul Defense Dialogue meeting was held with representatives from 21 nations and 4 international organizations. Korea is the only divided nation in the world, and the constant threat from North Korea is always present, which makes it an important region when discussing peace and security in Southeast Asia. Defense Ministry correspondent Han Da-eun reported on the security issue and the outcome of the recent Seoul Defense Dialogue.
Arirang News.
A special exhibition was held to shed light on the issue of comfort women during Japanese rule in Korea. The event tried to highlight the plight of the victims. The special exhibition on the Japanese military's Comfort Women Victims is the first such event led by the government. The stories of the victims, who were forcefully taken away by the Japanese military to be abused at a young age, have been told in a cartoon. What is the Korean government's position on the recent event?
Japanese politicians, including Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, but they still deny that these women were forced into sexual slavery.
If Japan wants to take a leadership, then we have to properly resolve the past misbehavior.
National Assembly correspondent Kim Jong-un was at the exhibition and met with the Minister of Gender Equality and Family in a special interview. More and more Koreans are opting to live alone. The number of single-person households has jumped tenfold over the past 30 years, making up 1 out of every 4 households in the nation today. Reporter Yoo Li-an delivers a lively report about how the markets are adapting to the rise in single-person households.
First, I came across some data that showed that the spending power for single households, it's greater, much greater actually, than the 3 to 4 person households. So that data actually kind of intrigued me a little bit, and then I started looking into the fact that a number of single households is on a consistent rise. I figured I myself is also a single consumer myself, so I was actually immediately interested in the story myself, and I just think a great story comes out from when it's driven from creativity, so I figured this was a good opportunity for me to do this story.
At a large department store in Seoul, Leon heads to the grocery corner. A variety of food items are nicely on display, and they're going to be an important part of her coverage. There's been growing competition within the distribution sector to attract single household customers as the number of them is on the rise.
여기 무슨 컷앤베이크라는 코너도 있어요?
네, 저쪽에 가면 컷앤베이크 코너 하나 있어요.
거기도 뭐 1인 살 수 있도록
1인 가구 위주.
거기도 한번 볼게요.
예.
The latest trend heating up the grocery market is the solo economy, which is being led by single people.
아니 뭐 모아서 이렇게 판다고 들었는데 그런 건 아니에요?
모아놓은 게 이제 이런 거죠. 이제 바이스몰이라고 해서.
아, 이렇게 잘라서
예, 잘라놓은 거, 수량으로
조그맣게 하는 거.
또 여기 이제 한 덩이씩 있는데 여기 이제 반송이씩 이렇게 잘라서 하는 거죠.
알겠습니다. 인터뷰는 저 앞에서 해도 상관없는 거죠?
네, 준비됐습니다.
근데 기존에 이게 생길 때 1인 가구에 위해서 바이스몰이라는 코너가 생긴 이유랑 또 얼만큼 확대됐는지 간략하게 얘기해 주세요.
예, 저희 바이스몰 코너는 지난 10월 1년 전에 1인 2인 가구를 위하여 저희가 처음 만들게 되었습니다. 원래 처음에는 2개 코너로 시작을 했었는데요. 고객들의 반응이 좀 뜨거워서 기존 2개에서 6개 코너로 확대를 했고요. 매출에 있어서는 전월 대비 항상 10% 이상씩 신장할 정도로 좋은 반응을 보여주고 있습니다.
그렇게 해주시면 될 것 같아요.
감사합니다. 미남이셔가지고.
This corner offers packages in small sizes and will even do the trimmings for single-person households.
좀 더 가까이 가서 찍어도 되는데.
Leon wants to get this change in the details. Leon makes sure to get the small-sized kitchenware items on camera as well.
미니 냄비 화이트샷만 하나 찍어주라. 이거 3개, 이거 3개. 미니 냄비 세트. 이거 파란색, 초록색, 빨간색 이거.
A corner exclusively for singles. Here, there are sauces in small containers and various daily necessities. The single household items catch Leon's attention.
근데 이건 되게 좋다. I would use this as a.
The offline shopping mall that I picked actually was renovated last October, and it was interesting that they, right from the renovation, they figured that they are going to adopt like this single house section just for single consumers, and I thought that was interesting, which is why I picked that shopping mall in particular. The market's already offering so many different things that are specifically come in miniature size for single people, and that I thought was interesting, and that is what I think made my news package also interesting for viewers, that even like mayonnaise and ketchup come in miniature sizes now for single people. And while I was actually at the shopping mall, I did actually see, I became more aware of people eating on their own, shopping on their own as I was covering the story. So I was absolutely able to feel that.
Leon finds it can be more effective to show the various scenes at locations rather than just delivering the story in words. That's why she moves quickly from a market to a restaurant.
기자가 이거 출연해가지고 이렇게 먹는 모습 하나 찍고요.
그거는 가능해요. 이거는 여기 앉으시면 돼요.
It is a Korean custom to eat in groups, but that has changed recently with the rise of the solo culture, which is a trend restaurants are taking into account.
This restaurant actually was originated from Japan, where the number of single households is much greater than Korea. So I thought it'd be interesting to show that that kind of restaurant is here in Seoul, and a lot of single consumers actually going there to eat alone. So that's why I picked that restaurant in particular.
벌써 나와버렸어. 오빠 이거 연기 나올 때 스탠드업 해야 되지 않을까? 스테이크를 먹어야 될까?
Leon wants to record a lively stand-up about the recent increase in menu items catering to single diners.
This restaurant caters to single diners by offering individual portions of steak and veggies.
But she finds it is not easy to eat alone and that it's difficult to have the camera team shoot the scene.
괜찮지? 언어는? 나 너무 안 웃었어? 못됐어?
다시 한번.
뭐가 어색했어? 뭘 더 잘해야 돼?
아니야, 괜찮아.
그냥 먹고 나 시선 처리를 어떻게 해야 될지 모르겠어. 카메라를 봐?
편하게 그냥 보내.
This restaurant caters to single diners by... 오케이, 다시.
In an unusual turn of events, Leon makes mistakes as she tries to say her lines while looking at a certain angle and eating at the same time.
안 잘라서 없어서. I'm so sorry about that. 나 진짜 당황했어. This restaurant caters to single diners by offering individual portions of steak and veggies and some rice on the side.
After several takes, she finishes the stand-up. It's the second day of her coverage. The coverage on the previous day was about what's happening at different locations. Today, Li-an's going to hear an expert's opinion.
제 기사 포커스는 이제 1인 가구가 소비를 좀 많이 하던 3, 4인 가구보다 그렇게 해서 생겨나는 새로운 산업이나 소비 트렌드에 의해서 맞춤형 제품들이 나오고 있다 이런 얘기거든요, 포커스는. 네, 그럼 먼저 1인 가구 증가 이유에 대해서 좀 다양하게 말씀해 주세요.
네, 기본적으로 가장 먼저 경제활동을 하면서 경제적으로 안정되어 있고 그리고 개인적인 삶을 중시하는 경향이 증가하면서 결혼을 늦게 하거나 아니면 혹은 하지 않는 사람들이 증가하면서 1인 가구가 증가하고 있고요. 그리고 결혼 후에도 부부관계나 혹은 가족관계에 대한 가치관이 변화하면서 이혼하는 부부가 늘고 있기 때문에 1인 가구가 증가하기도 합니다.
그럼 앞으로는 또 어떤 산업이 좀 크게 성장할 것으로 예상하는지?
앞서 말씀드린 1인 가구의 소비 패턴하고 관련되어 있는 모든 산업들이 지금도 변화하고 있고 앞으로도 성장 가능성이 높다고 할 수 있습니다. 소형 주택 시장이나 가정 간편식을 생산하는 산업이라든가 아니면 편의점이나 기업형 슈퍼마켓 집 앞에 이제 가까운 데서 쇼핑할 수 있는 그런 편의점들이나 그리고 구매 편리성을 제공하는 온라인 쇼핑도 증가할 것으로 보고 있고요. 그리고 또 혼자 살기 때문에 외로워서 가족 외에 다른 사람들하고 어울리는 커뮤니티 관련된 산업이라든가 그다음에 반려동물과 함께하는 시장도 성장할 것으로 보고 있습니다.
네, 1인 가구가 증가로 인해서 좀 사회에 미치는 부정적인 영향이 있다면 어떤 게 있을까요?
네, 가장 먼저 관계적인 측면에서 약간 사람들의 관계 형성이 약간 더 옅어지는 무연사회, 관계가 없어지는 사회가 된다는 게 가장 큰 문제일 수 있습니다. 장기적으로는 사회의 경제력도 떨어질 수 있고 사회의 불안까지도 야기할 수 있는 문제로 발전이 될 수 있습니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 거기까지 해주면 될 것 같아요. 감사합니다. 경제력. So when I talk to experts, I realize that there are two sides to this phenomenon of single households increasing. Of course, the fact that the number of single consumers who have greater spending power means that they're also going to fuel the economy, but also a lot of people choosing to stay single will, in the long run, create some societal, social problems because as people stay single, they decide to delay marriages and they decide to even entirely give up marriages and having children as well. So in the long run, that's just gonna reduce our economic power. So in that aspect, I realized this rise of single consumers has a much more aspects to it than we can just simplify just by talking about the changing spending patterns.
Finally, it is the day of the broadcast.
그 다음에 여기서 furniture 갔다가 이거 한 가트를 없앨까? 그리고 좀 더 짧게. 좀 인터뷰 먹고 들어가야 될 것 같아. 너무 하도 길어서.
Li-an puts on a serious look. She runs up the stairs as soon as she is done preparing for the broadcast. Although she has been preparing the story for a week, Li-an reaches the height of her nervousness on the day of broadcast every time. She feels pressure since she is trying something new with this story.
네, 잠시만요. 제가 할게요, 이제부터. 저 연습할게요.
She lets out a sigh, since the touchscreen is making her nervous.
But first, just how many Koreans are living alone? Let's take a look at this graph right here, which shows the changing composition of households in Seoul. So the number of single households is...
Li-an has included all the details, from the purchasing power to the changes in Korea's single households by time period.
US dollars for a single house.
She looks over her story just so she does not make any mistakes.
By 2030.
Preparation and last-minute efforts are essential for the news, which only lasts for a few minutes.
I wanted to break away from the format that we usually do where we just appear on the studio and have a little chit chat with our anchors and then turn on a news package, I figured it'd be good to divide it into three different sections, add a news section with this touch screen, and by starting the news segment, the in-depth segment actually, by me standing up, that already is giving a kind of a new fresh change for the whole structure. And so that's why I decided to start with a touch screen first, and also because I wanted to I thought the data itself was really important for this story in particular. So, and then as I was introducing my news package and as that was airing, I walked back to my original position, which is next to the anchors, where we ended by having a little discussion on what we just saw and what the experts said about the topic and things like that. So. And all in all, I think just more variety of ways of showing information itself was a good thing in my personal opinion.
More people are staying single here in Korea, and this has given rise to the so-called solo economy phenomenon, which refers to industries tailored to single lifestyles.
Our Yoo Li-an joins us in the studio to tell us more. Now, Li-an, what exactly is solo economy?
Hi, Jie, Sean. Well, the term solo economy, so the number of single households is showing a consistent rise. Single dwellers, as you can see here, have about, for a single household, it's about...
The story ends in success, and Li-an had no troubles with the touchscreen. The broadcast includes scenes from the locations she visited.
Everything is for one here in the Buy Small section of a shopping mall in Seoul. Restaurants are also jumping on the bandwagon to get more single dwellers to open up their wallets.
Reporter Yoo Li-an tried to highlight a fast-changing aspect of Korean society in a lively report. Li-an's passion is evident in her 5-minute in-depth story.
I will be anchoring the 6 p.m. newscast.
Okay. Oh, how was it? I mean, you know, as a news reporter, it's a dream kind of post, right? Because nobody gets to go there and report from within.
It's been an incredible opportunity, incredible experience. I'm still trying to. It's been 3 very, very intense years. Since I started going regularly and spending most of my time. So the past couple of years I've spent more time in North Korea than I have in South Korea. And it's tough. It's tough.
Personally, I'm interested in how reporting was like in such a reclusive state.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of freedom did you have to report different things? I don't know if you were even allowed to get on the street interviews or stand-ups or...
Yeah, we were allowed to have on-the-street interviews. I picked my subjects, and they know that. They know that they've come to learn. It's been 3 years since we've been working side by side, so they understand how I like to operate. So it's been a learning process for them, too. Because at first they said, don't you want only the top officials? And I said, no, actually, we want to talk to people on the street. And for them, they think, why would you want to talk to an average? But if you look at KCNA, you'll see that they now talk to average people as well. Yeah. So they've kind of adopted some of the techniques that we use too, which is part of one thing I feel good about is we can teach them a little bit about Western media, and they can pick and choose what they like from that. But no, I mean, they know that I like to pick my own subjects, and that I need to be able to tell my readers that we have editorial independence. So, you know, if we go someplace, I will point to somebody and, you know, talk to them and interview them.
I could not believe that North Korea would be willing, or so much change has happened that North Korea is now willing to have a Western news organization inside its country, where before all they want to do is hide up everything, you know, put everything under their covers. They would show only the things that would like to show to the rest of the world. So I was just wondering, you know,
I don't think that's changed so much, but yeah, but it has changed in the sense that they know that we do things differently, that our concept of news is different than theirs. And people always ask me about censorship. Do they censor your work? They don't see our work before it goes out on the wire. I mean, we don't show it to them, I should say. And you know, we don't tell them what we're working on, or we don't explain. So yeah, I always tell them you can look it up after it hits the wire, and they do often look it up. But they know that for the AP, that will be in violation of our policies. We can't operate with that kind of censorship.
So this is just okay. That's me, girl. That's I mean.
Now I should tell you that I'm not very familiar with doing TV because I've done some radio, but I've had so little time over the past couple of years that I usually just have not had time to do TV. So if you have any tips or pointers you want to give me on
oh, you know, you're an excellent speaker. So just what you're doing right now. Okay. Just, you know, there will be cameras around you, some lighting, but that's it. This is exactly what we should be doing. Okay. Yeah, that's all good. Welcome to your early edition at 6. I'm Kim Jong-un.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Daniel Chin. We begin here in the nation.
G&H Lee, the Seoul Bureau Chief of the Associated Press, was, just up until a few months ago, the head of its new Pyongyang office covering North Korea.
So those are some of the changes that we're seeing, at least as a foreigner visiting the country on a regular basis. A bit higher when it comes to reporting on North Korea. And one of the reasons that the AP chose to make this push to open the bureau was, I can tell you as a foreigner, my visits to North Korea have changed dramatically. They are looking to other countries for expertise and guidance, trying to create these joint ventures. Gwangbok area supermarket is a joint venture with a Chinese company, so you're getting a lot of goods imported from China. The whole concept of shopping, taking a shopping basket, putting items in it, going to a shelf and being able to pick what you want,